What's up, guys? This is our second session for Intermediate Python. So first off, we're going to be dealing with file handling and basic data processing. Let's just do a real quick review question. Which of the following could be initialized with the keyword integer? Which means which of these could be an integer if we assigned it? So just pause the video and try it. I'll be answering it in 3, 2, 1. Well, we can first look through the options, and you're going to immediately see that A is most likely our answer. B can't be our answer since 5e10, while it may be notation for 10 to the power of 5, it's not valid in this situation. This doesn't work either because of this decimal point. This doesn't work either because this is a decimal point. This would also work because it follows the laws of an integer in Python, and this wouldn't work because this is a string. Okay, let's start. What is machine learning? Well, this is basically when you train a model, when you train a specific model to understand what, like, say for example, you want it to recognize a cat. You train it using pictures of cats, and slowly by slowly, that model will recognize that a pixel of a cluster of pixels that sort of looks like this will probably be a cat. Now, let's deal with some file handling. So first off, we have to read a file, and that just means we can access its contents and to see what's in the file. Writing in the file makes a new file, or it will overwrite an existing one and add new data. Append is what you use if you want to add new data at the end of a file. So it opens for writing the thing without erasing any content beforehand. Now, when you're handling CSV files in Python, here are a few commands. First off, you have CSV writer. So it writes all of your data into a CSV file. And CSV reader, it'll read your CSV file line by line. Dictionary writer, it's like CSV writer, but it's for dictionaries. And dictionary reader, it's like CSV reader, but it's for dictionaries. So, now, here's a discussion question, just if you want to think about it. Can you tell what the benefit is to writing as a dictionary? And this, you guys can think about this, but I'll be moving on. Here's a comparison between CSV files and JSON files. So, for JSON files, we have a nested and hierarchical, but JSON files are nested and CSV are flat and tabular. It's basically like a data table. CSV files have a fast parse speed, and JSON files have a slower one. The data types of CSV files, everything is stored as a string, and JSON files preserves native types like integers, booleans, and etc. CSV is best for spreadsheet data, and JSON files are best for complex and nested data. Handling JSON files in Python. When you're using JSON files, you write, so this is some example code for JSON. So here you can see we have to first import JSON, and then we can write and read the files together. So JSON.dump, it writes Python objects into the file, and JSON.load reads the data and converts it into a Python object. So it's sort of like the read and write of JSON. The import keyword. So to import a module, you can import like the CSV module, or you can import a library like pandas. And here we use as PD to simplify it. Or we can import a specific function. So from JSON, we import load and dump. So it only imports what we need, which saves some memory. So now we're going to start on our introduction to pandas. Pandas is so first off, they're a series. These are sort of like lists. It's a one-dimensional array that holds data of any type. So this can be thought of as a single column in a spreadsheet. So S1 would just be a list of like multiples of 10. S2 is sort of like a dictionary. And S3 is with the custom index entirely. Pandas data frames are 2D tables with rows and columns like a spreadsheet. So a data frame, it's basically just going to be like, it's basically just the spreadsheet version. So this could be a pandas data frame. So like A, B, C, D, that was a really bad one, D, E, F. This would be a pandas data frame. And similarly, we can retrieve a row from this specific data table. So here we can see these can be the names for like each row, and these are the datas in those columns. So reading the CSV files with pandas, so you use the module read CSV, and then you have to print this as df.toString. So it prints the entire data frame as a string. So now I would like you guys to pause this and try it yourself. I'm gonna answer it in 3, 2, 1. What is the correct way to import the pandas library in Python? Out of these, the answer is this one. And we can actually go to a previous slide where they cover this. So import pandas as PD. Let's look at the other options. Import PD as pandas doesn't work because PD isn't a library at all. Import pandas.pd. Pandas.pd isn't a module either. And this looks right, but panda isn't a module, it's pandas. Now, which of the following is not true about a pandas series? It's a one-dimensional labeled array. It can hold different data types in a single column. It is similar to a column in a data frame, and it requires multiple columns to be created. Well, here can refer back to one of the previous ones, so a series. And here you're going to notice that it clearly states that yes, it's a one-dimensional array, so that works. B, it can hold different data types in a single column. Yes, it can. C, it is similar to a column in a data frame. Yes, we covered that. And D, it requires multiple columns to be created. You're going to notice that out of all of these, D is incorrect. Because multiple columns can't be used to, multiple columns aren't used in a pandas series. It is just one singular column. Which of the following correctly reads a CSV file into a pandas data frame? So, we can go back to the previous slide, and here it's covered that reads CSV. So that is the correct way. So there you're going to notice that it's pd.readCSV, but pandas.readCSV works just as well. ReadCSV and pd.dataframe, those won't. So here with data frames, here you're going to notice that this converts the data frame into basically a sort of readable format. So, but that's not correct because we don't need the readable format. Instead, we need like the actual CSV file into a pandas data frame. So, which of the following correctly retrieves Bob's age using .loc? So, I'm gonna go back to a previous slide. I think they covered loc around somewhere before. I want to give you guys like a reference point. Oh, here. Oops. So data frame location. So we can put in all the points in the data frame, age, where it's less than 25. So that's a conditional filter. Or we can just get the first two rows. So that's sort of what it is. So this would be the correct format, considering that. So yeah, here you can notice how the age and then the number, that's sort of the format that you follow in this. So age and then the number. So the answer choice is B. Practice question, how do you select the first two rows using .loc? Well, that was also covered in the previous one, and that's going to be B, because 0 and 1 are the indexes of the first two rows. Which command selects all rows where age is greater than 25? This is also covered in the previous slide, so just try this out real quick. But it's going to be this one, because we have to retrieve the age and ensure that it's greater than 25. And this is shown over here. Challenge, if a CSV has missing values, which ensures that they're replaced with NA when reading? Well, we haven't covered this, so if you know this, then you can try this out yourself, but we'll move on to the next topic. Quick discussion, the main differences between a CSV and a JSON. Give an example of something you can import with the import keyword, and name one application of Pandas in machine learning. Well, I'll just do these as a quick review. Main difference between a CSV and a JSON file. CSVs act more as spreadsheets, and JSONs are more as like full data sets. You can import, for example, Pandas. That's one of the ones that we mainly covered in this one. And one application of Pandas in machine learning would be data management, which is also mainly what we covered in this lesson. So next steps, this is what we're going to need for our next lesson. We're going to be using Visual Studio Code, and there is no Google Classroom, but just look over some setup documentations and write a few lines of code that demonstrate today's topics. Yeah, and that's all. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.